What's going on, everybody? This is Josh Takimoto from the Connectable podcast. Today, I am by myself. No Deb, no guest. It just didn't work out this week in the schedule, but we still wanted to make sure that we put an episode out for you guys to listen to. I promise it will not be an hour-long episode like normal. You don't have to listen to me for an hour. I wouldn't want to listen to myself for an hour or anybody else. So I will not do that to you. We're going to keep this thing much, much, much shorter. And just wanted to share something that has been on my mind because of a video that I saw recently on Instagram. I was just scrolling through Instagram and randomly I saw this video that this dad had created. And basically what he did is he took a video of his daughter from the time she was born until 20 years old, one video clip every single week, that entire time. And it was like a one and a half second video that he took, but he put it all together in this compilation, and you basically watch this little baby girl transform into a woman in 5 minutes. And I'm looking at this thing, and the creative side of my brain was like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine the time, the effort, the dedication that this required. And not only that, but think about all the technological advances and changes that this dad had to go through when it came to filming. All of the conversions, I mean, it was insane. And so I'm watching this video until halfway through the video, all of a sudden this thing switched in my head. All of a sudden the creative side just completely left. And my dad's heart, my dad's mind all of a sudden kicked in. And man, I got emotional. I got emotional watching this video because all I could think about were my own daughters and my interactions with them and the life that I've already watched them live in these few years, and how much they've grown and how much they've changed and how much they've developed already. And it's not even 20 years yet, like this other guy, but I'm looking at this and I would be lying if I said that I was not teary-eyed by the end of this video, because I'm watching this video and I just felt like this, almost like this heavy heart inside of me, because it was this very humbling moment where I realized, man, this man took over 1,000 videos once every single week until she was 20. He did all of this, and it comes down to 5 minutes. 5 minutes, 20 years of life, down to 5 minutes. Now, obviously, there's so much more that happened in between those videos. There's so much more life, but it makes you think, like, how quickly he was able to give a snapshot into this young girl's life and her transformation in 5 minutes. It was a really humbling thing. And it kind of stuck with me. Like I said, after I wiped the tears away, I was a big baby on my couch when I was watching this, like, oh, they're growing up so fast. Like, I was a mess. I've said it on this podcast before. I've never been shy about that. Like, I am a huge baby, especially when it comes to my kids. Like, the waterworks will kick in at any moment. But this video was so cool. But then, like I said, at a certain point, it just kicked in. I'm like, man, this is heavy. This is really heavy, because it makes you realize how quickly life goes. It makes you realize how fast things change and how fast your kids grow up and how fast people come into our lives and leave our lives. And I've said this before on this podcast, so many times we get wrapped up in the busyness, the hustle, the grind. We're trying to accomplish great things. We're trying to accomplish these dreams and passions that we have. But how many times are we sacrificing the things that really matter as we're pursuing those things? How many times are we chasing these things, and at the end of our lives, or even at the end of our weeks, we look back and like, man, where did my week go? Was I really pouring enough time and effort into relationships that really matter to me? Was I spending time with the people I truly care about enough? Or was I so focused, so laser focused on the passion that I have, that I neglected all of these other things and all these other people? And obviously, I think on this podcast, multiple times we've said, sometimes you have to make those sacrifices and you have to make difficult choices as you're pursuing your dream. But I also feel like on the other side of that, if you're going so hard after that thing, if you're pursuing that thing with so much laser focus that you're missing out on these other relationships that are around you, the people that you truly love and care about, and those things are being neglected, it does make me wonder if those things are worth the sacrifice in that sense. And that could be a whole different podcast, but I think the point being is, when I saw this video, it makes you really realize, man, time flies. And it's a cliche and you hear it all the time, but in fact, I heard somebody say, I think it was one of the commenters on that video, they said, it really makes you realize, or it really puts into perspective that saying the days are long, but the years are short. And I thought that was incredible because I'm like, I personally have never heard that before, but nothing was truer to me in that moment. The days are long, but the years are short. So many times we're maybe in a place where we don't want to be in life. We're, and jobs that we don't want to be in. We're in challenges, that we feel like we're stuck in. And it seems like every day is a grind. Every day, just, you wake up early, you're tired, you go to bed, you're exhausted, and that everything in between sometimes just feels frustrating and difficult, and it feels like a burden. And then how many times, like, man, it's already been 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And you hear these stories from people all the time where, like, man, the time flew by. And you have some people that are like, man, I felt like I lived my life to the best of my ability. Or people, even better, people that know them said, man, you look at their life and that person squeezed every ounce of life out of their time on this earth. They lived it up every single day. They did not take a moment for granted. Even in the most challenging and difficult times, they said, you know what? I have something to be grateful for. And I know that my time here is limited. So I got to make the most of this. But then you have other people that get to the end of their life and they have all these regrets. They have relationships that fell apart. They have people that they didn't invest enough time into. They know there's people that they didn't spend enough time with or have enough conversations with, or they didn't say the thing that they wish they would have said to someone. Maybe it was because of fear or worry of how that person would react. But at the end of their life, they're like, man, I wish I would have said more to that person, or I wish I would have said this one thing that I think they needed to hear. And it's interesting being, you know, in that mindset and thinking, because like I said, for myself too, like you just get busy doing stuff, you don't really think about it. And, that video was, man, just a huge gut punch to me, and in a good way. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it started off as a fun video and then it kind of sucked. If I'm completely honest, it was not the most enjoyable viewing experience because it makes you really ponder and question some things about your own life and how you're using your time and how you're spending time and with your kids, your spouse, your family, your friends, the people around you. Like it is a humbling thing. And I keep saying that, but it's like it was a very humbling moment for me seeing this video because uh, again, he was able to boil it down to 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's it. And so, that's basically just what I wanted to kind of hop on here and talk about a little bit. Obviously, I've always had this mindset where we always say, hey, don't take things for granted, live life to the fullest. And there's like the reality to that as well, right? Where sometimes we say that to people, but people are going through a lot of things. Everybody has a different journey. Everybody is fighting a different battle. Some people are in really difficult situations where even me saying that they might think like, well, how arrogant is that? Like, why would you have no idea what I deal with. You like living life to the fullest doesn't even feel like an option to me because, life sucks so much and it sucked for years. Like I can't get out of this space. And so I always want to make sure I'm sensitive to those things because I believe that's a true thing. And it's not a one size fits all thing. You can't just say, hey, live life to the fullest. And everybody's like, oh yeah, cool. It's easy as that. It's not as easy as that. Like challenges in life come up, things come up. But I would say, and there's people, I'm not going to go into details, but there's family members in my life, one specifically that has battled something, a disease for years and years. And still to this day, I mean, I'm talking like a decade plus of battling this life altering disease. And still, she is one of the most positive people that I've ever met and have ever known. And you would look at her and think, like, how in the world can you stay so positive when life is so challenging and difficult for you? But yet, here she is, all these years later, still super positive, still, is able to find the light in the most dark situation. And so, it is interesting because I think for every person who would say, you don't understand that this life is difficult and living life to the fullest and taking every moment and not taking it for granted is easier said than done. I also think there's a bunch of people on the other side. It's like, you know what? You can't say anything to me because I'm living the most difficult life, and more difficult life than a lot of people. And yet I'm still able to find the positive. I'm still able to find life, that's worth living. And I'm still able to find, things to appreciate and value in my everyday life. And so it's just a very interesting thing. So I would just say, hopefully you're in a place where you can appreciate life. Hopefully you're surrounded by people that you love, you care about, you value. And if that's the case, then hopefully, you take the time and you slow down. Again, it's a really weird balance. Like we don't you I'm always encouraging people to go after that thing that they want, go after the dream they have, the goal they have. Sometimes I feel like this idea of how we just need time. Like I'm someone who believes that you really do have to work hard to get to where you're trying to go. And I'm a firm believer in that. And I always have been. But I do think that there's a point where, you got to make sure that there's some balance there where you're not neglecting the people that have helped you get there. You're not neglecting the people that you love, the people that you care about, the people that have supported you and encouraged you throughout the years. You can't sacrifice at that point. Hopefully they're coming along the journey with you, but there's a point where, sometimes I think we do need to step back and just sit there and look around, appreciate, and just be thankful and grateful for what we have and who we're surrounded by. So that's pretty much all I've got. Like I said, hopefully this felt short. But it's like I said, it was just something that came across my timeline, and I thought, you know what, this would be a perfect thing to talk about, just because, like I said, it was creatively super impressive. For me personally, just my own heart, it hit me a little bit. It was a little bit of a gut punch, and in a good way, for sure. It was a good reminder and a good some good imagery of how quickly time can go. And so definitely, I don't have the name of the man who created that video or his account, but shout out to him. Maybe I'll try to tag it and share the video when I post this episode so that you guys can see it as well. But definitely worth looking at. But if you're someone who's a big baby like me, be prepared, especially if you have kids. If you have kids, be prepared. The waterworks may kick in. So, all that being said, hopefully you guys have a chance to spend as much time as possible with the people that you love. Appreciate, enjoy every conversation that you have with them. Make the most of every moment. Don't take for granted the time that we have on this earth with the people that we love. And, like I said, if there's something on your heart that you want to share with someone and you've been pushing it off for whatever reason, don't wait too long. Make sure you take that step out and you share those things with the people that you love, because you just never know. You never know what's going to happen day to day, when the whole thing will come to an end. And so, just make sure you appreciate every single moment that you have with the people. Let them know it too. Let them know it, hug them tight, and, just try to enjoy this life as much as possible, because you only get one shot at it. And so I think there was a quote. I feel like we posted this quote a little while ago. You only get one shot at life, but if you do it right, one shot's all you need. And so that's a good way to wrap this thing up. As always, you can follow us at Connectable Pod on Twitter, and then at Connectable Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or X. I still call it Twitter, but technically it's on X. And we're on LinkedIn. We haven't done that for a minute. I thought I'd give that a shot. LinkedIn, Pinterest. We're on Pinterest too. I don't know if we have any Pinterest people out there, but really we're trying to step it up, spread our wings a little bit, try to get out there more on all these sites. I hate most of them. I don't know if I mentioned TikTok. We're on TikTok. I don't like that one at all, but we do it. We try to post this stuff out there. So like I've said for our guests, if you can't find Connectable Podcasts on one of these social media sites that you frequent, you're just not trying to find us. Like, you're not trying that hard to find us, because we're everywhere. And so now, that being said, take that with a grain of salt, because we don't do a great job posting everywhere. So if you're a big fan of Twitter, prepare to be a little disappointed, but we're trying to get better and trying to post all those things. So anyways, you can follow us at all those places. And then on your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Like I said, we post these on the full episodes on YouTube as well. So please subscribe on YouTube. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. And if you would be so kind, please give us a 5-star rating and review on any of those places. And I see we've gotten a couple more reviews or ratings on Spotify, which has been awesome. if you guys could do me a favor and help me get past this 22 review mark on Apple Podcasts, that would be great, because each time I check, I can't tell you how disheartening it is. See, I can't even speak. It hurts my feelings. I'm going to say it. It hurts my feelings when I see 22 ratings. We've been doing this for a long time. 22 ratings, at least get us to 30. So if you have a friend that's never heard our podcast, tell them to listen. No, in fact, tell them to give us the 5-star first and then listen. That way it's locked in. They can't change it. And we got the 5-star review. And then if they don't like the podcast, then we don't suffer for it. So get the 5-star rating first, then tell your friends to listen to the podcast. And then we can go from there. And hopefully we can win the affection of their ears as they listen to us talk about nonsense and listen to us talk to all these amazing guests. So that's it. I'm going to stop plugging my own podcast and let you guys go. So thank you guys so much for listening every single week. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate your support. And we will talk to you guys next week. See ya. Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable Podcast.